Okay, sweet, thank you. And we can go to the next slide. So quickly, you all are professionals at this by now, but if you need a reminder, if you hover your mouse over your Zoom screen and you look in the bottom left-hand corner, as a participant for right now, your microphone and your camera should have a red X through them. You don't need to have those on for right now. Later on this evening, you will have the opportunity to chat and turn your microphone and camera on and ask the presenters some questions. And if you want to chat, feel free to chat at any time. You hover your mouse over your Zoom screen and then look at the bottom. There's a chat bubble. If you click that, then look to the right, there should be a large white rectangle. And you can type in your questions at any time or add any thoughts as well. Next slide, please. And just one big reminder, this is our final webinar of the series. We really appreciate everyone joining us. And we'll send out the recordings at the end of this week of all 3 of the series. Next slide, please. And this is just a thanks to the team that's been working on this with me. We're on the Zoom tonight. You can see our names on the screen and a couple more people who've helped along the way. And if all of this information has been lovely, but also a lot, don't worry. If you go to our land stewardship homepage, which is listed on the screen right now, you can find all of these resources also available. This is a fun website that we've been working on for a while, and it's available for landowners like you to use and access all throughout the year. So make sure you give that a check. You can also probably Google UW-Madison Extension Land Steward, and it'll be there. And Tierney just put it in the chat. So thank you very much. Next slide. Our final webinar, this is it. We'll introduce you all, landowners, to organizations and groups available to help navigate your questions around structures and roads, family, neighbors, community, legal topics. And we'll connect with educators and professionals from different organizations. So please feel free to have your questions ready either in the chat or those breakout rooms. And we're going to introduce some great people here in Wisconsin who can help you make sure your structure or your road or building are following the best stewardship practice or even the legal requirements in your county. We're going to also hear from groups who can help you connect with communities of landowners like yourself interested in similar things. And also finally to help with those kitchen table conversations about family and legal matters and what to do with the land next after grandpa passes on and things like that. And so knowing who can help navigate these questions can help you for now and your wishes in the future. We're going to get going. And actually, we're going to start with Columbia County Planning and Zoning.
All right. Welcome, everyone. So just to give folks a little bit of a preview on what I'm here to help you folks analyze as you look at using your land is, so I'm the Land Resources Director for Columbia County. I manage our Planning and Zoning Department. And a couple things that I think are important for people to understand is there are a number of things that apply to lands, some of them universally and some not universally. So I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of some of the things we deal with. General zoning, there's a good chance, but not a 100% chance that the community you're in, whether it's town zoning or county zoning, may have zoning standards. How you use the land could be divided up into zoning districts. It's important to check with your local unit of government on what those allowable uses are in that zoning district. It's important to understand general zoning is not universal. It is basically different from community to community and from town to town. There are some things that are of more statewide significance. Things like shoreline wetland zoning. Every unincorporated area in the state of Wisconsin will have a shoreline wetland zoning ordinance that you need to deal with and think about if you're looking at doing certain things. Floodplain zoning is another universally adopted standard that will be found in all parts and pieces of the state. Some other things to think about, you're going to have farmland preservation planning in some of those areas. I can certainly be available during the question and answer session to talk about what some of that means as far as development rights. Things I also want people thinking about are navigability. If you have water on your land, what you think is navigable may not be navigable, or vice versa. We deal with private on-site waste treatment systems, so POUT systems. Other things in general that we deal with are how you use the land, setbacks, lot coverage. Again, I always stress to people to know your jurisdictions, whether it's the township or the county or some cases, cities or villages. And the other great thing I try to tell everyone is the biggest mistakes we see are when people try to interpret the rules themselves and they don't ask questions. So I always encourage people to be forthright with us. Tell us what you want to do. There's typically a path forward, but it gets harder if we get behind the 8 ball. So I'll be available if you guys bounce into to our breakout session to answer questions.
Thanks, Kurt. And just a reminder, Kurt is representing Columbia County, but he is probably very knowledgeable about a lot of the other ideas and can help set you in the right direction if you have a question. Next, we'll hear from Nancy from WOA.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Bozek, a Wisconsin woodland owner and executive director of the Wisconsin Woodland Owners Association, or as we call it, WOA. Our website can be found at wisconsinwoodlands.org, and we have a calendar of events and additional information about the activities I'll be mentioning tonight. WOA is a statewide nonprofit created by and for Wisconsin's private woodland owners. We offer year-round educational opportunities, including conferences and in-person field days and gatherings. We also provide a networking opportunity for woodland owners and natural resource professionals. Some activities are for members only, but many of our activities are open to all woodland owners. We have 12 local chapters throughout the state. Our chapters host field tours of members' properties or other woodland-related activities. I encourage you to try one out and meet your neighbors. WOA members also receive our quarterly 44-page magazine called Wisconsin Woodlands. Each issue contains a selection of articles in addition to members sharing their stories. You can request a complimentary copy through our website or view some of our previously run articles. On Monday mornings, our members receive an email that we call Kick Off Your Week by Learning Something New. This is not an e-newsletter. These are short but interesting emails on a variety of topics related to woodlands. The women of WOA gather several times a year to learn more about caring for their woodlands in a supportive atmosphere. On May 17th, the women of WOA will gather at the International Crane Foundation, and in the afternoon, we'll take a hike at Devil's Lake State Park. Registration for this event will be posted on our website soon. We also have an event scheduled at the end of July covering invasive species. All women woodland owners are welcome to join us. WOA co-sponsors 5 regional winter conferences for private woodland owners. These conferences are open to all and are held January, February, and March in Green Bay, Oshkosh, the greater Milwaukee area, Wausau, and West Central Wisconsin. We have also developed a variety of publications to assist private woodland owners. Some of our more popular ones are the My Land Handbook, Sample Timber Sale Contract, and Growing Your Legacy brochure. These can be downloaded right from our website. WOA's 4-day in-person annual meeting is the highlight of our year. Members from across the state come together to learn from the experts and each other. We will be celebrating our 46th year anniversary in Unalaska on September 18th through the 21st. You can learn more about everything I mentioned, along with many other opportunities I didn't get a chance to mention, by visiting our website at wisconsinwoodlands.org or finding us on Facebook at Wisconsin Woodlands. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Next, and we'll hear from Marion.
Hey, great to be with you all. I have a grandson in the room next door who is wrestling with my husband. So I put my earphones on. Hopefully that works. It can be kind of loud around here sometimes. I represent Michael Field's Agricultural Institute, which is the organization that runs Wisconsin Women in Conservation. This has been a 5-year collaboration with other agricultural groups. Wisconsin Farmers Union, Renewing the Countryside, and Marbleseed to reach out to women landowners, farmers, farm workers, basically women who are making decisions on land, to connect them to largely federal resources. Yeah, thanks for putting the website up there. I typically, at this time of year when I'm doing this presentation, I show you a whole list of events. For 5 years, we've done 40 to 50 events a year all over the state. We had 15 to 30 conservation coaches. Those were experienced women landowners, either farmers or prairie stewards, woodland owners, who would basically mentor and host events on their farm. We, like so many, are in the middle of funding in between times. So we have reduced what we're offering this year, but because we've developed such giant networks over the course of 5 years, we have about 5,000 women involved. We are transitioning to potlucks all over the state, and our first one is coming up really soon. These potlucks will be led by experienced folks on their land, and they will convene the network of people who's been getting together for land walks, for field days, for soil health demonstrations, and various events with each other. And hopefully the networks will continue and we'll be able to keep that connection part of conservation outreach. What we're really focused on now is that sort of post-education moment. We know that peer-to-peer learning is effective, but the latest research is showing that really continuing to meet with your peers is really what helps you get conservation on the ground. So I hope that as part of working through this cohort this year, you will have met some people in your breakout sessions. And I really encourage you to stay connected with them, whether it's through a group like WeWick or just reaching out and maybe having your own potlucks. The way to get things done on the land is to pull together, because there's a lot of issues that come up, a lot of confusion, even around those the zoning issues. You know, Kurt talked about his county, but things do vary from county to county, and you will also run into township zoning issues with things you want to do. And so it's great to just get to know your neighbors and start implementing practices on your land together. So please feel free to access our website. We do have a monthly newsletter that goes out. If you sign up on the website, you'll get information about all the potlucks happening in your region and other regions. And obviously you're welcome to visit in other regions too. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kris. Next, we have Blue Mounds Area Project with Sam.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm Sam Anderson, and I am the outreach ecologist for the Blue Mounds Area Project. We are a small member-supported nonprofit that's based in southwestern Wisconsin. The vast majority of our members are located in Dane, Sauk, Greene, Iowa, and Lafayette counties, but we have folks scattered all throughout the driftless area of Wisconsin, and even a couple of folks just on the edge of it. And we're really focused on private land restoration and management. BMAP started back in the 1980s as a small group of passionate landowners who were pursuing restoration on their own properties by themselves. And they started getting together to share their experiences, share resources like seed mixes, and they began forming a lot of community events that can help support restoration. So some of those community events that we've continued on with over time are our property tours, where we go and visit BMAP member properties that have been pursuing restoration for sometimes up to 40 years. And those property tours are a really nice chance to, for young landowners or new landowners to observe restoration that's happened over the course of years or decades, the mistakes that have been made, as well as the successes. And it's a really nice space for landowners to get together and talk about restoration goals that might be in alignment. Some of our other events also include walks with a naturalist, where we invite members of the Wisconsin Master Naturalist community, retired folks from the DNR or federal agencies, or individuals representing university to lead talks on public land where we can talk about different types of habitat, restoration, land management, etc. Finally, our events span through the winter season with our winter conversations, where we host specialists and experts in their field to talk about various aspects of land management that can range from garlic mustard and treatment interventions to the behavior of carnivores in our grassland ecosystems. So those conversations really span a wide gambit and typically bring in lots of members of the public. But my main role is the outreach ecologist, and what BMAP has really advocated for over our decades in existence is having site visits from the outreach ecologist for BMAP members. And this is where I go and visit with property owners on their property. We tour their property and we discuss their land management and restoration goals. That gives property owners, especially new property owners, a chance to talk with somebody who's familiar with the restoration field in our region. And it gives me a chance as the outreach ecologist to provide really personalized feedback to landowners in a pretty low stakes way. Likewise, that restoration support spans throughout the entire year. So I get emails from folks every single day talking about restoration questions or things that they're concerned with on their property. And then finally, I also facilitate a lot of conversation and relationships between BMAP members and other groups. So I direct quite a few members to UW Extension for their resources, but other groups like Southern Driftless Grasslands or various land trusts that they might be interested in. So I provided an example of a couple of our upcoming events, one of which is a property tour down near New Glarus, the other of which is a walk with a naturalist over near Barneveld. But I think that wraps us up pretty well. So thanks for having me tonight, and I'm excited to have some conversation.
Thank you. And Maria with the Cooperative Weed Management Area.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Maria Young. I'm the coordinator for the St. Croix Red Cedar Cooperative Weed Management Area. I also will refer to us as a CWMA. We have a lot of acronyms in the natural resources world. But specifically, we cover 5 counties in northwestern Wisconsin. So we cover Polk, Barron, Burnett, Washburn, and St. Croix counties. But there are many different SISMAs or CWMAs throughout the state that map on your screen there. All of the counties that are colored in the same color, those are different SISMAs or CWMAs throughout the state. I actually grabbed this map from IPAW's website, or the Invasive Plant Association of Wisconsin. So they have all the contact information for all of the CWMAs or SISMAs throughout the state. But specifically, I'm here to talk about the St. Croix Red Cedar CWMA. So a lot of CWMAs throughout the state are official 501c3 nonprofit organizations with full-time staff, but our CWMA is a little bit different. We are made up of invasive species managers from different organizations. So that includes county government, Wisconsin state agencies, federal agencies like the National Park Service. We have a couple private landowners and then nonprofit organizations. So I actually work for Wild Rivers Conservancy, which is a nonprofit organization that works to protect the St. Croix National Scenic Riverway. But I work as the coordinator for the CWMA. So it's kind of just a mashup of people who work with invasive species management, who are passionate about helping landowners and connecting them with resources that they need. So we aim to develop and implement regional plans, strategies, and approaches to effectively manage terrestrial invasive species. And we do that. We have a strategic management plan that guides our work throughout these counties. And we are funded primarily through grants because we're not a nonprofit organization. So we're funded primarily through grants. So for instance, we have a tool trailer that is available for landowners to check out and use on their land. It has everything that you would need to combat your normal terrestrial invasive species infestation, if you will. We have pump sprayers, it has shovels and loppers, everything that you might need. So that's available for landowners to use. The only thing that we don't provide is the herbicide, because that's technically a liability issue for us, but we provide everything else. So that's an example of one of our projects. Our current project right now, we received a grant from the Wisconsin DNR to allow us to put on private landowner buckthorn workshops for folks in the area. So last year was our first year. We were able to host 3 last fall. And with this funding, we were also able to provide herbicide to the landowners who were interested in receiving it. You didn't have to receive herbicide if you attended the workshop. You could just attend to learn about different management opportunities. But that was one benefit of this grant, is that we were able to provide herbicide to folks. And then we also were able to receive an anonymous donor who provided us funding to purchase prompt sprayers and then bark oil blue. So this year, with this round of workshops, we'll have the whole package available for anybody who's interested. But essentially, we'll have 3 workshops late fall. There'll be one located in Barron County, one located in Polk County, and then one located in Washburn or Burnett County. Still finalizing the dates and locations, but we are trying to garner interest, get the word out about these workshops. They're free to attend. You just have to register for them and show up. If you do choose to receive the herbicide, we do ask that you submit a treatment reporting form so that we can know where the herbicide went, what it helped combat, and so we can provide a report to our funders. But if anybody is interested in attending one of these workshops or getting more information about them, please reach out to me at the email at the bottom of your screen, or giving me a call. And I would love to get in contact and talk a little bit more. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Maria. I see a really good question in the chat about removing buckthorn, and I suggest to Arlen to go into Maria's breakout room, and I know there's a couple of ecologist-minded people that will give you some good answers. And next we're going to, yes, thank you. We're going to go to Kris Tiles with Your Land, Your Legacy.
Thanks, Olivia, and super excited to see as many people in the session today. I know you've heard from a number of my colleagues in previous sessions, but again, we're University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension, the Forestry and Wildlife Program. And as you may have heard, we have a number of programs that we offer, but tonight I want to specifically talk about a class that we do called Your Land, Your Legacy. We are seeing an aging landowner base, and the importance of starting to plan ahead for succession of that land. And generally, if you hear a forester use the term succession, they're talking about trees. But in this case, I'm actually talking about succession of ownership. We see a number of people who approach us with a lot of questions about, should I use a trust or an LLC? And realistically, that conversation is so much more than just what you want your estate to be. It's really about having family conversations, which can be really tricky. So we do have a class called Your Land, Your Legacy, where we walk landowners through the process of thinking about what their goals are for their property and talking to heirs about their wishes for the property as well. One of our colleagues in Virginia has done actually some research. So what you're seeing on the screen is some potential benefits of actually going through not just an estate plan, but succession plan. I am actually, thank you, Tierney, for putting the website in here. I'm also going to just put a link to a publication to maybe be a teaser. Unfortunately, our class has already started this spring, but if you're interested, take a look at that publication to, as I said, a teaser, and then pay attention, and we will be offering that course again in the future. So if you have any family questions, please join me in the breakout room. Thank you.
Thanks, Kris. And next, Kris from Gathering Waters.
Thanks. My name is Kris Gutschenritter. I am the director of the Land Conservation Law Program with Gathering Waters. Gathering Waters is a nonprofit organization based out of Madison. I personally work out of my home office in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. And what Gathering Waters is established to do is to support the over 40 land trusts across the state of Wisconsin. Let me actually just switch over to our here. Gathering Waters helps land trusts, landowners, and communities protect natural places that make Wisconsin special. So what does that really mean? That means we're supporting our local land trusts. I'm sure most of you or all of you have a local land trust in your community. We support that organization to help landowners protect their private property. We help support those land trust organizations to do some of the work that these other organizations have already mentioned, including management of your property, whatever that property might look like. We also support the land trusts in putting on events, for example. On the screen right now, you can see 3 upcoming events, which we've collaborated with these organizations to host over the next couple of days. Throughout the summer, we host a series of events called Land Trust Days, which is really a way of sort of pulling our land trust community together across the state. So these land trusts are distributed all across the state. This Land Trust Days event is something that happens in the various communities across the state, and there's some continuity to it. And we provide that continuity, basically. We also do a lot of advocacy work. So we support our land trust by advocating at the state, at the Capitol, for funding for this type of work. We primarily target the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund. Right now, there is a budget ask for $100 million a year for 10 years, for a total of $1 billion for this work. And we are at the Capitol, knocking on doors, sitting down with folks. We just convened the first annual Knowles Nelson Lobby Day event a couple of weeks ago, where we actually had almost 200 people show up to sit down with legislators. So that was a huge success. And then we also provide technical support to these land trusts. Permanently protecting and stewarding property, as you all know, as landowners, takes a lot of work. We are here to support the development of these land trusts' technical skills, not only to provide the stewardship, but also the legal protections of these properties. The law program, which is my reach, is set up basically to provide legal services to land trusts and support them to permanently protect privately owned land. We think of it as a way of protecting your investment in the land. In addition to all this, and I will hit enter on my chat now. So we have the Gathering Waters website. We have the Knowles Nelson website. Please join those. And then I also represent private landowners in private real estate transactions with conservation-related outcomes. And I also do some estate planning with conservation outcomes as well. So I think about succession planning in the same way that Kris Tiles was talking about. But I do work with estate planning to enact some of that succession planning, whether it be through farm businesses or woodland owners and whatnot. So that's where I'll leave that. Thanks.
Thanks, Kris. And so this is, first I want to say thank you to all of our presenters. We do have an additional presenter tonight that is a different change, switch up from the presenters we've had in the past couple weeks. As a happy Earth Day to everybody, we wanted to have an actual landowner come and present their success story and tell us a little bit about the journey they've been on as an actual landowner and how did the heck did they navigate all of these resources and people. So we're going to hear from Tom, who's a private landowner in the Driftless area. And Tom, just let us know when you want us to advance to the next slide, okay?
All right, I'll do that. Let me just make sure here that I hold myself to the time limitations. It's easier to talk for 3 hours than it is for 3 or 4 minutes. So as a landowner, I own 220 acres in Richland County, between Richland Center and the little burg of Ithaca. I was first exposed to that land when I was 19 years old. When the landowner asked me to help him do some minor management of that land, I went on and had a career and came back 35 years later and bought that land from him. I was so attached to it. So and now I've taken that responsibility of managing a piece of property that has about 160 acres of woodland and 60 acres of fallow fields here in the Driftless area. My major goals in managing the property have been a little different, at least from my experience with those of other landowners. I am interested primarily in biological diversity in the diversity in plants and wildlife. Of course, here in Richland Center, there's a tremendous interest in hunting. So there's a very strong focus on deer management, ruffed grouse, and wild turkeys. I'm really, as I said, I'm more interested in the ecological diversity. So I'm more focused in my management on the idea that if I do a good job and create the right habitats, that I don't have to be doing things like putting in food plots and other things that might attract game animals. I'm looking for creating overall a healthy environment for all. A secondary focus has had to be financially the timber production. So I have 160 acres of my land in the managed forest law. I have been following some of the prescriptions that we have in a plan that has now we're now in the 23rd year. But that plan is somewhat restrictive in the use of one of my major tools, which has always been fire. And so I basically have turned my attention to the best source of support that I can find in managing a piece of land of this size, and that is friends with an ecological conscience or an ecological awareness, and I certainly have that. I have a great many friends in the Nature Conservancy, with other organizations. I had mentioned that at one time the Woodland Landowners Organization was very, very helpful to me. And I can tell you that there's really nothing better than having friends, especially if they have an ecological background. So people like Hannah Spall at the Nature Conservancy, Mike Engel with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Nancy Breaker at Carleton College, they are my team who are always helping me and advising me on the steps I take and the actions I take. The things I do are very typical of other Wisconsin landowners. I have the major challenges that most people have and that you've all mentioned so far as you deal with those services that you offer to landowners. I certainly have the problem with invasives, and there's a constant battle going on with honeysuckle and autumn olive. We've been doing a lot of experimentation on controlling those with both fire and other means. But I'm also interested in trying to regenerate oaks, which is something that is considered by many to be very difficult, but the Nature Conservancy has shown to be possible. And so I'm following their advice in the application of fire. The major resources I use besides friends have been, I've been very attentive to the UW Stevens Point webinars on forest management, as well as almost anything that is published out there, some things coming through organizations like yours. I follow the research, I stick with the research and deciding what we should do. I hope we're doing evidence-based restoration when we do our restoration or our invasives management work. I don't know that I need to get into the details of the kind of work, but we basically have three ways. We have the mechanical, which is something that the buckthorn management people certainly know well, which is cutting an herbicide. We have the herbicide work, which often involves the use of glyphosate and other triclopyr, other herbicides. And then again, there's prescribed fire. Now, prescribed fire is so important because we can manage larger areas with it. And I'm managing by prescribed fire about intensely about 55 of my 220 acres. I've done 3 consecutive fires in the last 3 years, all with the idea of opening up the woodland. So if we look at the slide you're looking at right now, you can see that with the typical upland forest with oaks and hickories and in this case white oaks, but you can also see how dense that cover is and how many stems there are there. So this is where we've applied the fire. If you could move up to another slide for me, the next slide. Can we do that? It's coming.
It's coming.
There it is. This is a good example, and I do have a lot of people who visit my land. I have DNR people coming out next week to learn how to some of the techniques for learning how to use fire without damaging the timber quality product. But this is, oops, am I still there?
Yep, we can see and hear you.
Okay, because I've lost you there. There you go. You can see how that woodland is opened up, how we're looking to bring light into the ground. So we've taken out through fire most of the honeysuckle and the other invasives. The next step is our going in and actually girdling the intermediate trees that we don't want, which is part of managing the succession and getting light on the ground. So these are basic strategies that almost everyone knows about. I'm lucky enough to have lots of connections to people who work in fire. I've worked in fire myself for over 35 years. So it helps me to be able to manage my land. And particularly, as I said, if my focus on that is to basically work with my ecological conscience. And now the last one. Last slide. Fire is intimidating to a lot of people, but I assure you that it's, as you probably all know, that it's a very strong management tool for us all. This is the type of fire we push through our oak woodlands, and I have to tell you that recently we discovered, after 3 years of burning, that we actually do have some oak regeneration occurring. And it looks like now, as our discussions have been with some of the Stevens Point scientists and some people in Florida, it looks like we're on the way to it being able to expand that regeneration. We're going to stop burning now and see what we do with the new oak seedlings that we have. So thank you. I appreciate the ability to talk to you. I guess I'm your target market.
Yeah, Tom, your success. We did have a question from, and you don't have to go into super detail because there might be a lot of answers to this. And I also want to put out that the Wisconsin Prescribed Fire Council was on our webinar the first night. So this is also great research to reach out to. Right. But Tom, somebody wants to know, what's your #1 tip to safely conduct a burn through your woodland?
Okay. Probably the first thing you really have to know is you have to understand fire behavior. And you'll probably have to have someone that you employ to be able to do that, unless you happen to have friends who have a great deal of fire experience. So one is to not be overconfident. The other is to understand the behavior of fire and different types of fuel, so you can anticipate how severe a fire is going to be. And then, of course, most importantly, is there are secure lines around all of our fires that the fire cannot cross. So please be sure to consult experts on this. There are some good contractors out there, and employing them is often worthwhile if you don't have experience with fire as yet.
And we had someone ask about a particular size and broader picture land management, and I'm going to steer Ann to some of our groups like the Prescribed Fire Council and Blue Mounds Area Project. But Tom will also be around in the breakout rooms too. So if you want to ask him some more questions there, I invite you all. And we're going to continue on to our last slide before we head out into breakout rooms, is kind of thinking about the next question. I bet a lot of you have asked a question and some of our presenters have given it back to you. Well, what's your goal? And so this is something, you'll have a recording of this so you can have this slide, or you can take a picture of it on your phone right now. But this is an overview, and I don't need to go into every single detail of this slide about what is a goal and objectives. They're long-term desires for the future of your land, and then the specific actions or steps that you would take to implement that. So these are great things to start thinking about. If you want more deer on your land, if you want less deer on your land, if you want to create a succession plan for your family, with all of these categories that we've brought up in the last 3 weeks, goals and objectives play a part into what you want. There's some examples too, I just want to improve aesthetics, and breaking that down into objectives of conducting a timely inspection, connecting with different resources, identifying things, and really following through on your goals and objectives. And then on the right side, there's some questions to start asking yourselves, but not limited to the only questions. But, you know, things like, what do you want your land to look like in 20 years? What factors have limited you from achieving your goals? Are there organizations that can help you? And then think about the areas of your land that are high priority to you and your family, or things that you care about a little bit more or really want protected. These can help shape your goals and objectives. And so you can start really forward moving with your land management. And if you have questions about goals, I'll be in the breakout rooms or in the main room, so you can also ask me these questions as well. We're going to head out and I'll show you the different breakout rooms that we'll have in the next slide. So I'm going to launch them, and they'll be the structures and roads, kind of all about that county planning and zoning with Kurt. Community will be the Wisconsin Woodland Owner Association, Women in Wisconsin Women in Conservation, Blue Mounds Area Project, the Cooperative Weed Management. And then family and legal will be that Your Land, Your Legacy class, and Gathering Waters. And those folks will be able to answer some of your questions. I'm going to launch the breakout rooms right now. If you don't see them pop up on your screen, just unmute yourself and I can put you in the right